everyone. I got a comment on one of my videos asking how I make my MST kind of bouncy, and figured, yeah, I can make a video about that, kind of show you guys kind of how I did that. Before the video starts, a lot of it's going to be referring to my TDA shocks. So I have the MST TDA shocks, and I do have a video of me building these, so if you are curious, you can go ahead and watch that and build them the same way I built them. All four are built the exact same way, they just have different springs on them. So the rear ones have softer springs and the front one have stiffer aftermarket springs. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it and kind of showing what I mean by or showing how I get it kind of bouncy. So I'm gonna try to show you guys everything I've done to get it, I don't know, I'll call it active. You know, I don't really want to call it weight shift because not weight shift, but you can see the car kind of doing that while it drives and going up and down. I'll put some clips on the screen. Got a clip right here, and if you look at the front end, you'll see it moving up and down. I'll play it in slow motion right here, and you can see it going up and down as I'm on and off throttle. Play it in slow-mo one more time, but this is kind of, I'm assuming what he means by lively and active, which is, yeah, really like how my car looks like this when it's driving around. I got the battery in here just to make the weight a bit more accurate. Obviously, if I have the body on, the weight will be a bit higher, but there are a lot of factors that do go into making the suspension look active, per se. So what I believe one of the main factors is not ride height, but like how much travel you have. I'm trying to think of the word for it, I can't remember right now. But basically your range of motion for the suspension. So as we can see, if I lift this up, my arms are hanging over the chassis right here, so that allows them to go deeper. On the stock MST chassis, the chassis up here is wider, so the arms don't have as far to go down. But range of motion is one thing, because if you don't have a lot of range of motion, you can't really get it to move a lot. You can maybe go upwards a lot, but you can't go downwards a lot. So I have plenty of range of motion on both sides. As you can see here, car sits roughly about here normally, and then I can go all the way up that way. The wheels still haven't left the ground yet. So lots and lots of range of motion. You can achieve that a few ways. Like I said, having these hang over the chassis if you get a different deck. Sometimes you can get longer toe blocks, and that will stretch them off the chassis so they can hang lower. Changing spacers. I don't have any spacers in here. This is more for like weight shift for my understanding, but spacers here and moving like the upper arm up, that will give you more range of motion. Shock length, you change your range of motion. So if you have like a longer shock, you can get range of motion. Because I probably could get more range of motion out of these arms. It's just the shock is stopping me because it's bottomed out or whatever, because it's as long as I can go right now. And the same thing with the rear side. But range of motion, I think that's one big factor. And then another big factor is how you have your shocks set up. My shocks are set up very soft. Front is a bit stiffer, but the rears are really soft. And especially with more weight on, they feel even softer, you know, because of the extra weight. And the reason personally why I did that, because I didn't try to make the suspension look, you know, like active or whatever, but the reason I did that was to try to get the rear to compress more for the active toe, so that would kick in more. And then not only that, it compressing more would put more weight over the wheels to get more traction for the car to go. And that's why I have the front springs a little stiffer too, to kind of help push this car up, which will push the weight towards the rear, and so on, so on. But yeah, big thing is how you have your shock set up too, because if you have your shock set up really stiff and they don't have a lot of range of motion and all that, your car's not going to look very active. It's going to be very static, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. everyone likes their cars, you know, a certain way. I like mine really soft like this. I think it feels great. I've driven cars where their suspension's a lot stiffer. Those feel great too. It's per chassis and per driver basis on how you want it set up. Like I said before, I do a video on how I set these shocks up. So if you want to copy my settings or whatever, you can do that. As a quick overview for the TDA shocks specifically, I am running the 3-hole pistons. There's two sets of 3-hole pistons. There's a small hole and a big hole. I did the big hole, so 3 big hole, and I did that for all 4 shocks. And then I'm doing a 5-weight mineral oil, so that's in all the shocks as well. And the 5-weight is really a lot thinner than the higher numbers, just that's how they have them. And so that allows the fluid to move more free, which allows for it to easier, you know, be active, I guess. I believe another factor is how you have your shocks positioned. I have them positioned in as far as possible, and that helps kind of with roll. Same thing on the rear end, and that will help with, you know, making it look active. Another thing with having them in as far as possible, that allows for more angle without rubbing the shocks, so that's a nice bonus as well. You may have seen this and you're wondering what this is. I do have a cantilever setup coming, and I'll kind of show you guys this once I get the last few pieces I need. But that will help get these shocks even in more, and the suspension might look more active, which will be pretty cool. But if I flip this around to the rear, shocks not as far in as possible, because obviously I can move these further, but I do want them as straight up and down as possible at the same time. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I believe when they're on an angle like this, when you're trying to get that movement, it's going to resist a bit more. But as you can see, a lot of movement in the rear, kind of help give it that lively, active look. And then for the chassis, if we flip this up, you can kind of see these cutouts right here. And that allows this rear half to twist as well. And that kind of can help give it some more of that active look. A lot of aftermarket carbon chassis will have something like that. Some are more dramatic than others. You just got to look into it. And I believe another thing, this top rail, I bet if I remove those, it'd be a bit more, the chassis would be a bit more flexible, probably have a bit more movement on it. But yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but you want to make your, you know, your suspension like pretty soft, but you know, at the same time, you also don't want the car to be dragging on the ground, so you gotta account for that. I'm gonna put the body on real quick. All right, it's future me here. There's one more factor I forgot to mention that I realized, and that is how you have your weight balance. If you have a lot of weight in front, it's gonna be harder for this front end to pick up and, you know, do all that weight movement. If you have a lot of weight in the back, like I do, you can kind of see damn near everything's in the back and there's nothing in the front. I believe my weight bias is 31% in the front and then 69% in the rear. But having all the weight in the back, when you hit the gas, it'll be a lot easier for it to go down just because of the weight distribution. So that is one factor as well that can go into helping make your car look a lot more lively. Kind of show you guys how this looks. So if I push down on here, you can see it comes back up, but it doesn't bounce like that when it comes back up. So pretty soft. So when I'm hit the gas, it's gonna squat and it's gonna go. But when I hit the brake and the weight transfers back this way, it's not gonna sit here and bounce when it comes back up. It's just gonna slowly come to where it rests and you're good. As for the front, like I said, I did make my front a bit more stiffer. It does have a slight bounce back. You kind of see it. Goes up and then down a little bit and then back up to rest. I'm tempted to make my shocks a bit softer up front just to see how those feel. When I hit the gas, because of how stiff these front ones are, at least compared to the rear, it's going to lift this front end up and the car is going to kind of drive kind of like this. Not entirely, not as dramatic as I'm having it right now, but that's kind of how where you see those bounces from. And then when you see when I slow the car down, the car will come to a rest, and then I hit the gas, it'll go back up. You kind of see that in a lot of the clips I do. But yeah, that's a kind of a rough idea on how all of that works. I'm going to be doing a weight shift chassis soon, and they'll kind of be a lot more dramatic. So I'm excited for that, and I can kind of go into more detail once I learn more, because I'm still somewhat new, at least to the weight shift side. I haven't really done too much research into it. But overall, in the end, the big ones I'd say, just to get it just general, having a lot of suspension travel, having soft, at least soft weight, but maybe soft springs as well, and having your springs as inwards as possible. And that should give you a lot of that lively looking movement, which I really like. I really like seeing, you know, the car going off the line. You see it squat. In corners, you can kind of see it roll slightly, which is pretty cool. Love that. And I can't wait to try a weight shift chassis to, you know, really, really get the dramatic, you know, rolling and squatting, diving, all that stuff. But hopefully I explained that well enough for you guys. I'm sure I missed a lot of things, but overall that is kind of my understanding of how it works. Like I said, how much suspension travel you have, softer shocks, and that should be the general consensus. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Probably show some more clips of the car being bouncy and whatnot. But yeah, hope you guys have a great day. I hope this was helpful for you if you were looking to make your car more bouncy. Like I said, if you want me to clarify anything, or maybe I missed something that you were hoping I'd hit, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to explain it as best as I can over text or sending a comment or whatever. And yeah, have a great day, guys.